So what's up guys? It's me here again, Vicky FX. So today we'll be talking about POI, which is point of interest. So it's like an entry zone to know when to enter the market from. So that's what we call the point of interest. So I trade with two type of zones, which are the demand and the supply zone, and demand and supply. Demand and supply, then the breaker block. Then I trade with breaker block. That is the breaker block. So this for the demand and supply zone. For every buy setup, it's called the zone which we enter from is called the demand zone. For every sell setup, the zone which you sell from is called the supply zone. So this market came down here after every break of structure. Remember, this is a break of structure. After every break of structure, you intend to mark your demand zone. This is your demand zone, right? So you wait for market to come here, then you buy from here to the upside. This is your demand zone for every buy setup. Then for every sell setup, you wait for what? You wait for your supply zone. So after this break of structure, this is a break of structure to the downside. This downside now is a break of structure. Let me remark it. So for every sell zone, up, down, up. So immediately break structure to this zone, you expect it to come to this supply zone, then you sell from there. You sell from there. So this is the break of structure to the downside. You wait for it to break a structure to the downside, then you enter from your supply zone. So remember, for every buy setup, you enter from your demand. From every sell setup, you enter from your supply zone. So where are you to mark your supply zone, or what candle are you to mark that identify your supply zone or your demand zone? So what you have to know is that your demand zone is the last bearish candle. Remember, so the last bearish candle, which is your last sell candle, the last sell candle before a buy candle. So let me make it more longer. This is the sell. Need to make this go. So this is the sell candle and this is the buy candle. So this is the buy candle. So let me change the color so you guys can know, identify it. This is the red candle and this is the blue candle. Let me leave black. There is the bullish candle. So the last bearish candle, that is the last sell candle before the buy candle, is your supply zone. So you are expecting the market to come down to your supply zone, your demand zone, I mean to say, come down to your demand zone and buy from there. You understand? Same goes to a sell entry. The last bullish candle, this is your bullish candle, so we should make it black. The last bullish candle before a sell candle, before a bearish candle. So your last buy candle before a sell candle, it's your supply zone. So let's make this red. So you mark this as your supply zone. This is your supply zone, and then you wait for what? You wait for a retext, then you sell from that zone. Same goes for your breaker block. Your breaker block now is a failed order block. That is a failed supply zone or a failed demand zone. So your supply zone and your demand zone, we call them order block. That is your point of interest. It just depends. You can call it any name. You can call it your order block. You can call it your point of interest. You can call it your entry zone. So your failed order block, remember, let's say for a buy, or let me use this as an example, for a sell, we are expecting this in the market. We're expecting a market to retext and sell, but market eventually did something like this. Instead of tapping in here and sell, then it break above here, it break above, then retext that same zone. Here becomes your breaker block and moved by to the upside. Same goes for a sell, same goes for a buy. Instead of it coming down to retext the zone and move to the upside, it broke the zone, retext the zone and come down. So this becomes your breaker block. So you should, let's go to the main chart so I can explain better on the main chart for you guys. Remember, before you draw your demand or your supply zone, there must be a break of structure. There must be a break of structure. You can't do something like this. Market went up, came down here, went up, came down, then you mark here as your demand zone. It's invalid. You understand? So it has to break the high before you can mark it as a, it must have a break of structure, you understand, before it can, you can call it a valid zone. This is a break of structure. So after the break of structure, now you can now mark your zone, that is your demand zone for a buy. So there must be a break of structure. So what do you look at for first? First, you look at for a break of structure, your bias, whether the market is trending up, that is BOS, a break of structure, before taking an entry, a break of structure. Then second, you look out for your bias. Is it an uptrend? I taught you guys how to know the trend of a market. So your bias, you check for your bias, you understand, then look for your entry level. So your entry level. So we are still going to talk about liquidity too, because you trade with liquidity, but you have to just learn this first of all. So your break of structure, you must make sure that it is a break of structure. Your bias, make sure your bias is correct. It's like it's an uptrend, entry, then that is your demand zone or your supply zone, your breaker block. So I'm going to be showing you guys an example. I will keep showing you guys an example over here. This is like a zone. This is your, I remember on a supply zone, your the last buy candle. Remember what I said, the last buy candle on a supply zone. If you remember when I mark it here, the last buy candle, you mark the last buy candle before the sell candle. That is your supply zone. And see, market, after market broke this zone, it has a break of structure to the downside. You understand? So after market gave you a break of structure, it shows that your supply zone is valid. So you can enter from here and sell down. Let me look for another example on a sell market for you guys. Okay, let me look for another example. Okay, this is an example too. This is an example here too. You can see after the break of structure to the downside, this is a break of structure, right? After this is a break of structure. Don't know why it is just doing something like this. So after the break of structure, we intend to mark the last bullish candle, that is the last buy candle for a sell candle, and see how what market did. Market came to retest that zone before it sold. So market moves that way, it just come back down to retest a supply zone before moving to the next direction of the market. So I want to show you guys more example. I'm trying to look for more example on the charts so you guys can understand better. Let me see if I can get more example here. So something like this. This is a break of structure to this downside. So let's mark out our supply zone, which is the last buy candle before a sell candle, and you observe what's happened here. Market came here, dropped massively to the downside. This is another break of structure at this zone. Remember, it keep breaking structure to the downside, so we keep on looking for sell. Eventually we keep looking for sell, then market this is the last buy candle before a sell candle, and then market where. So this is the last buy candle before a sell candle over here. So that's why market came here, tap it in, then sold down. Let me show you guys more, trying to get more example for you guys. So after every break of structure, market intend to respect the supply zone before selling. So same goes to a bearish movement, a bullish movement. So let me show you guys an example of a buy setup. So we have to look for this is a break of structure, a break of structure, a zone, this is a zone, but the zone wasn't respected. So most of the time some of the zones won't be respected, you understand. But if you come to your charts, you'll find out some reasons why some were not respected. After the break of structure, this was a demand zone. This was a zone which market respected very well. So after the break of structure to the upside, this was a demand level market reacted to, then went up. So let me just show you guys an example. This was a break of structure. This zone was a break of structure to this downside. Then we can find a supply zone here, which is the last bullish candle before a bearish candle. This is your zone, it's your sell zone. Same goes to every zones. Buy, sell, buy, sell. This was a break of structure. This was a break of structure to the upside. This becomes your demand zone. The market respected it properly and went up for a buy. So let's come to a breaker block. Remember, a breaker block is a failed demand zone or a failed supply zone. As I showed you guys the other time, a failed demand zone or a failed supply zone. Let's go back to gold. So this was my example. As I showed you guys, this was my example over here. A failed zone, failed and retest, break and retest. So let's look for an example of this thing of a breaker block. This was a demand zone, right? This was a demand zone that should have been respected. This zone, market should have just gone down here and buy up, but what market did, it broke the zone, came back here, retest the zone, and is moving downward. So it becomes a breaker block now. This is a break of structure. This particular one to show you guys is a supply zone. This one is demand zone. So I'm just showing you guys. So to see that it respects a lot. See, this is a break of structure to the downside. Then your supply zone. Then for a breaker block, let's look for another breaker block that was respected. If you come on your charts, it doesn't occur always on the chart. This is an example, another example. This zone should have been a demand area which market should have mitigated, something like this. This was a zone, and what many people were expecting from the zone is something like this: market pushing up, forming a demand zone, coming back to respect this same zone, then push up. But market did something like this. You understand? So immediately break the zone, it break the zone, it still come back to retake the zone and start moving the opposite direction. That is what we call a breaker block. You can see it for sell, you can see it for buy. So that is just it. You come to your chart. I don't want to make the video more longer. Come to your chart, you cross check it. This is a zone, this is a demand level, this is a demand zone. It was respected. Yeah, this was the demand zone that was respected. This is a zone. Main market tap into the zone, it went up for a buy. So that is just it. It's a break of structure here, buy. This was a supply zone. This was a supply zone that should have hold the market for a sell. Here was a supply zone that should have hold the market for a sell, but market broke past it. This is what happened here. We are expecting the market to come here and sell, but market broke past it, came to test it, and it flew up. That is your breaker block. So it's a failed zone. Remember, it's a failed zone. Same goes to here. This is a breaker block, a zone that should have been reacted to and buy, then came down to take it out. A failed zone. This was a demand zone too, but was reacted to and sold off from. This was a failed zone. So, and breaker block is a failed zone. A other block is after a break of structure of a trend, then the next last candle, that is for a buy, your last sell candle before the bullish candle. For your sell, the last buy candle before the bearish candle. That is your demand zone. That is your supply zone, I meant to say. So I think I should write it down. Demand is the last so the CD over there, that means the candle, right? So for a sell, which is the supply zone, so the supply zone consists So is the last buy candle before a sell candle. So you guys can understand what I mean. For a sell, for a buy, that is the demand zone. Demand is the last sell candle before the buy candle. The supply zone is the last buy candle before the sell candle. Then your breaker block is a failed zone. Breaker block is a failed zone. So that is just it, guys.